Why don't you say it, baby? Not like I don't mind, but what's so toxic lately? Don't you waste my time. Who you been fucking faking like I'm out of...
Storytime of the worst home pregnancy termination. At the time I was 17 and was preparing to graduate high school. When I got pregnant, it was surprising because I was on the birth control pill. I was doing everything I was told to do. I didn't get my period for about 2 months. I was feeling weird, so I decided to take a pregnancy test like any other girl would. And it surprisingly came out positive. So I told my boyfriend, which at the time he was 23, and he thought that I should keep the baby. But I wasn't ready and it wasn't in my plans. He wanted the baby, but he ultimately just let me choose. I couldn't tell my parents because they would kick me out. So my boyfriend helped me with getting money to terminate the pregnancy. When I got to the clinic, they ended up turning me down. They said they would need my parents to sign off because they didn't trust minors to make these type of decisions. I didn't know what else to do, so I decided to terminate my pregnancy at home. But I didn't know how dangerous this was. In doing this, I almost died, which I will be getting into in part 2. Part 2 of the worst at-home pregnancy termination. So like I said, they didn't allow minors to get them at my clinic. When I told my friend about it, she recommended me to her cousin, which at the time had also got the at-home pregnancy termination. When I met up with her cousin, she handed me these pills. She told me to take them every day for a couple weeks and it will terminate the entire pregnancy. She said I would feel a little dizzy and would bleed, but that was a part of the process. So I immediately took them. I didn't even read the box because it was mostly written in Spanish. I was just very desperate at the time. After the first 2 days, I started to get really bad pains, and it was like a period times 10. Honestly, my uterus was on fire. My body was weak and I couldn't eat without it coming back up. So every day I kept taking them. After a couple days, it was one day where I literally could not even move. That night I passed out. The next morning I woke up in a hospital and the doctors told me that my uterus ruptured.
Story time about how my mom made me shave my hair off. So a little background information, I was 13 years old and in 7th grade, and I had just moved to a new school this year because my grandma was really sick and my family and I needed to take care of her. And for like the first 2 months, I had a big problem making friends. Until I met my best friends, Ashley and Nicole. Ashley was super sweet and Nicole was kind of a bitch. And I was in between, so we kind of all balanced each other out. But fast forward to later on in the year, we met this one girl named Kelly. And I'm not gonna lie, she was super nice but really annoying. She would always try to talk to us, always try to hang out with us. She was literally stuck up our asses 24/7. And the one day Ashley convinced Nicole and I to have a sleepover with Kelly and her. So we say yes, and Nicole, Ashley, and I are all texting in the group chat. Nicole goes, well, I'm not going to promise that I'm going to be nice to her. And she actually said that we were going to play a prank on her. And that's when Ashley bailed because she didn't want to be a part of it. Like for part 2. Part 2 about why my mom made me shave my hair off. So like I said, Ashley bailed because she did not want to be a part of Nicole's evil plan to bully this girl. So fast forward, Nicole and I go over to Kelly's house and I start to feel really bad because Kelly's actually super nice and she wasn't as weird as I thought she was. Fast forward, Kelly's sleeping and Nicole comes over to me and she's like, hey, come to the bathroom with me. So I get up and I go to the bathroom and Nicole pulls out Nair. And I asked her what the hell she's gonna do with that. And she was like, oh, I've seen some people do pranks on YouTube. You know, they put it in somebody's shampoo bottle and then it makes them lose their hair. So since I'm the only one who thinks logically, I'm like, Nicole, you cannot fucking do that. And she's like, oh, don't be such a baby. This shit doesn't even work anyways. All the videos that I watched, people only lost like 4 strands of hair, which made no sense because why the fuck were we gonna do it then? Anyways, fast forward, I go to sleep. I wake up in the morning and my mom comes to get me. Like for part 3. Part 3 about why my mom made me shave my hair off. So like I said, Nicole put the Nair in her shampoo and I went to sleep. I decided I was not going to be a part of this little plan. And I wake up in the morning, my mom comes and picks me up and Ashley's texting me saying, hey, was Nicole nice to Kelly? And I told her about what she did. And Ashley was like, oh my God, that's so fucked up. Like, I'm gonna tell Kelly. And I was like, yeah, I was gonna tell her, but I don't want to get Nicole in trouble. So fast forward to dinner time, my mom gets a call from Kelly's mom. And she was like, Kelly took a shower earlier. She's losing her hair. And Nicole texted Kelly saying that your daughter's the one who put the shit in my daughter's shampoo. So my mom's like, well, how do you know it was my daughter? And she was like, Nicole also said that she saw the Nair bottle in your daughter's backpack. So my mom runs up to my room. She finds the Nair bottle in my stuff, which obviously Nicole put there. But my mom wouldn't listen to me, so eventually she sat me down in the kitchen and shaved my hair.
I'm 17 working retail. It's my first week on the job, the store is dead, and I'm the only person working at the cash register. My manager decides to take her lunch break. As soon as she leaves, a woman walks in dressed in all black head to toe. She walks up to the register and I say, "Hi, how are you?" I'm paid to say this. She chooses not to converse and pulls out a return. That's fine, I'm paid to be here, you're not. I could care less if you want to talk to me or not. The return is easy enough, I've done them before. However, she has a receipt and her item has no price tag. What do we do when an item has no price tag but a customer has the receipt? We look up the receipt to see what item they're trying to return and make sure it matches. So I enter the numbers into the computer and the computer tells me she's trying to return a black Calvin Klein jacket, which is important for later. I look at the item that she's trying to return and it's a black Calvin Klein jacket. Since everything aligns, I process the return and give her over $100 in cash. She leaves and my manager comes back from her lunch break. She sees the jacket sitting in the return pile and asks me about it. It was in that moment I knew I messed up. She asks me if I noticed anything off about the jacket. I tell her that if I didn't notice it the first time, I'm not going to notice it now. She makes me look a little bit closer and that's when I see it.
We hired a housekeeper that comes over several times a week to get the house clean since my husband and I are busy with work. We have 2 kids, Jeremy 16 and Raya 14. Now Jeremy's a jokester. He likes pulling pranks on everyone in the house, and that included the housekeeper. He did stuff like throw her purse and hide her wallet, and he got punished for it and told not to do again because our housekeeper almost quit and we didn't want that. A few days ago, I got a call from Jeremy while he was having friends over to tell me that he saw the housekeeper sneak one of my jewelry into her purse and asked me to come home immediately. I freaked out and tried to call my husband, but he didn't pick up. I went home and I was mad, and I talked to the housekeeper and she denied putting anything in her purse. That's when I demanded to see her purse, and my jewelry was in fact there. The housekeeper started swearing on her children that she didn't put it in there and that she had no idea how it got in there. I believed her and figured that Jeremy had something to do with it given his history. I switched my attention towards him and had him explain to me exactly how he saw our housekeeper do it. He told me what he saw, but a friend of his came forward and said that he saw Jeremy put the jewelry inside the lady's purse and was trying to get her in trouble. Jeremy yelled at his friend and then told me it was just one of his pranks, but I was furious. I kicked the rest of his friends who covered for him out and I punished him hard and apologized to the housekeeper. However, my husband reacted unexpectedly after he heard and said that I was wrong for choosing to believe the housekeeper over our son even though there was a witness, but he said his friend must have said this to get him in trouble or because the housekeeper paid him to side with her, which was shockingly absurd of him to say. He said I wasn't being a good mother, and my first instinct is to always believe my son in whatever he says and never question him in front of his friends like that. I'm honestly so confused. Did I mess up? Am I the asshole for believing my housekeeper over my son?
I got beat up.
Why did Karen beat my ass this weekend? Like, I got dragged by a 45-year-old woman. So I go home to visit my family for Thanksgiving, right? And my little brother just turned 21. So I'm like, to the bar we go. We're going drinking. So I take him to the bar. We're standing at the front. We had just ordered drinks. And I see this lady and her husband just pushing people out of the way, right? And her husband had like come by me, but he didn't look at me, talk to me, fart in my direction, right? He didn't say anything. And the next thing I hear is, "Don't look at that bitch again." I'm like, "I don't see a bitch. Which bitch?" So I asked her, "Which bitch?" She said, "You." I said, "That's what I thought. Why are you calling me a bitch?" And we start going back and forth about why she's calling me a bitch. I still don't know why she called me a bitch. I end up walking away, right? My brother's like, "Let's go." So we end up just walking away. Hours go by, right? The bar closes, it's 2 a.m. I'm walking to the car with my little brother, and I see the lady and her husband on the street corner, and she just fucking gave me one of these, like, "Oh, it's over for you, bitch." And it was. So she bum rushes me, right? She's yelling in my face. I go to pull out my phone, and she, like, pushed me, so I pushed her back, and then she knocks my phone out of my hand as she goes, like, back, right? So my phone goes flying. My phone's not lasting long on the ground in my hometown. Let me just say that. So that's the priority. I go down, go looking for my phone. My fucking fingertips had just grasped my cellular device, and I feel gone with the wind I was. She yanked me into yesterday, right? But then she lets go, and this girl from my hometown, my friend Isabel, she started just whooping that ass. So as I come back to reality from my ponytail being dislocated from my head, I'm looking for my brother. And I see him beating the husband's ass and like 2 of the husband's friends. I'm like, oh my God, we gotta go. So I snatch up my little brother, we go home, and I stayed at my house for the rest of the trip.